It's a calm day over at College Football Live, and the call room in the College Football Playoff Committee room. Not a whole lot of stress this week for these guys, right? The AP Top 10 goes 10-0. First time this late into a season since 2009. Welcome into College Football Live. I am Peter Burns, Todd McShay, David Pollack. Boys, what do they do this week in the committee room? Do they just sit there and play Monopoly? I mean, what board games, Pollack? They got Fortnite going? What are they doing?
I think the age demographic probably wipes out Fortnite. But, you know, listen, one thing I do want the committee to do, just like I think all of us, is let's pay attention to everybody down the stretch. I don't care what you did last week. It's the totality. It's the body of work. Teams are going to continue to evolve, just like Oklahoma's defense. We've been watching them. Todd got a good look of them up close and personal. Cornelius just looked like John Elway. So just continue to evolve, continue to show us how your feelings are, and if they change from week to week, it's okay.
All right, so the question is, I don't think there's going to be a change in number 1 and number 2 with Alabama and Clemson. But, Pollack, I'll start back with you before you get in here, Todd. Has Clemson closed that gap between Alabama the last couple of weeks?
I'm from the South. They done been closed the gap. I mean, if you've been watching the last several weeks, I mean, it's been, to me, you know, listen, there was a time when Todd, we said it's Alabama and everybody else, they live on a different planet than everybody else. Well, there's now 2 people on that planet. It's Clemson and Alabama, and that's their own little planet, and then everybody else is just kind of jumping in for some oxygen.
I'm not there yet, bud. I'm not. I mean, okay. I think they're really good. I think they're really good. I think it's 1. I think then it's Clemson, and then there's another tier. The rest of y'all, as you like to call it. By the way, how cold were you up here in Boston this week?
It was a little chilly.
Little chilly, yeah. But I don't know. I can't buy in. I think Alabama's just a
Can I stop for a second
everybody.
Then? Just out of curiosity, let's go to a big board. Todd McShay's big board. Where would we find Clemson's defensive line? Just those 4, would they all be on the top 38, top 40?
Brian is not in the first round. The other 3 are. So I mean, it's ridiculous. I get it. The quarterback is getting better.
The worst guy on their defensive line is a second rounder, right? Yeah.
I'm not there, but we don't need to go there tonight. Tonight's not an NFL draft show. What I'm saying is, I think they're really good. But they're better than everybody else. But I still think Bama's got a little bit of an edge over everybody.
All right, Bama's also going to have their hands full here in a couple of weeks in the SEC championship game. Georgia, I mean, Pollack, is this a team that's rounding into shape over the last couple of weeks with the win against Florida, then Kentucky, and what they've been doing lately?
There's no doubt. And they've gotten back to realizing, listen, Jake Fromm is a great quarterback. Jake Fromm is that he needs the running game first. Georgia needs the running game first. And the key component of the running game, last year we had those moments where we went, DeAndre Swift? Like, did you see that guy cut? Sony Michel's good. Nick Chubb's good. That guy looks even better. Now you're starting to see that. You're starting to see that come to fruition. Jake Fromm has been lights out in third down. Defense is causing turnovers, giving them extra shots, and they've worn everybody down. That foot right there in the ground is insane. That's the guy that you saw last year that's starting to come back for Georgia. And when that happens, now they're becoming more and more of a threat.
I remember looking at the tape last year being like, whoa. These 2 guys are going to be, you know, first, second round picks. They're going to be really good players in the NFL. But that guy is better than the 2 older guys. Yep. And he averaged 10.9 yards per carry this past weekend. I mean, that's crazy. To do that in an SEC game, he's a special back. There's no question about it. And Georgia, their offensive line's starting to get a little bit more physical and gain some more confidence. This is a team that now is going to make it interesting. I know I said Alabama and then everybody else, but it's going to get interesting in that SEC championship game.
Yeah, by the way, DeAndre Swift said on a scale of 1 to 10, he's like a 7.8 on a scale of 10. Tough to see what happens when he gets to like 9.5, right? All right, you can say 9.5. That's a way that you can talk about Michigan right now, that they're really rolling with Shea Patterson in this offense. Do they truly control their own fate? I know everybody says destiny, but it's supposed to be fate, right? Destiny is predetermined. Todd, do they control their own fate? If they win out, they're in?
I'm not sure. I wouldn't say 100% because...
Well, then that means it's a no. That means it's no.
Then no.
Thank you.
No. Go ahead, Pollack.
No, you go, but it's not you kind of sort of do. It's you do or you don't.
No. No, they don't. Really close, but don't.
Yeah, and it's the scenario that we talked about, I mean, last week, and we've hammered home. If Georgia beats Alabama, there's a chance Michigan could get left out of the party. And, listen,
And
if
they
you
should.
start and you start putting these teams, well, I'm glad you said that, but you start putting these teams in clusters and you start measuring all these teams together and you start looking at Notre Dame and Michigan, there's a big old just red flag that's sticking up in the air with I beat you, and the other one didn't beat the other one. So, I mean,
100%.
You know, so Michigan, no, I don't think they control their own destiny. I think they're one of the few teams
if Georgia goes out and beats Alabama, how do you not bring – Alabama has to be in the party too. So yeah. I completely agree with you.
Right now, real quick, but both of you guys, would you take Alabama over Michigan if they happen to lose against Georgia? Is that what you're saying? Do you think Alabama's a better team than Michigan?
No question.
Yeah, I think Alabama would be in over Michigan.
Now, the difference is, remember, last year, Ohio State was the Big Ten champion, but they had 2 losses in the blowout loss over to Iowa, so that changed a little bit. How about this? Let's do a little Pac-12 and a little bit of stock. Shall we do that real quick? Todd, what do we got rolling right now?
Sure, why not? We do it every week, right?
Got to.
All right, Washington State, Todd. What you got?
What do you got?
How's our stock?
Sell me on the stock.
Hold. Don't buy, don't sell. Hold.
I tell you what, though. We know Gardner Minshew can do his thing, and he is one of the most fun quarterbacks to watch in college football. But I will say this, their defense has been pretty clutch, and they've come up with big plays, and that's not what I'm accustomed to seeing. I mean, a couple weeks ago against Cal, they scored 19 points and won the game. I mean, that usually their defense is a speed bump, and we know Mike Leach and that offense is always high-flying and having a good time and throwing it all over the yard and being successful. The defense has come up with clutch plays when they needed it, and that's why this team's a little bit different. Yeah.
Every week I wait for that that letdown, the Washington State letdown, and we haven't seen it yet. So that's why I'm not selling, but hold.
Apple Cup coming up looming large.
Right. Can you at least buy the mustache? We can all buy the mustache, right?
That was awesome.
Yeah, we can buy we're buying the mustache. All right, that's college football playoff. Let's talk about a little bit other news because Ohio State has come out some news now publicly disputing a report that ex-Buckeyes assistant coach Zach Smith allegedly used a racial slur during an altercation last year with the former player. The former of Ohio State receiver Trevin Grimes told Stadium's Brett McMurphy that Smith used the N-word during a heated exchange with his son during a practice last year. The school denied that allegation when contacted by McMurphy and reiterated its stance in a statement released Tuesday. Ohio State University unequivocally and vehemently disputes the unfounded allegations by Brett McMurphy. Any allegations of racism are outrageous and false. The university told McMurphy they have found no evidence to support these allegations. Reporting this manner is irresponsible, inflammatory, and a severe invasion of privacy for the student-athlete and his family, as well as a baseless personal attack on Coach Meyer. It is regrettable that McMurphy and his employer would use such poor judgment in running this inaccurate story. Urban Meyer was asked about the allegations earlier today.
My first reaction was like everyone's around here was irate. And our players were, over the top irate. When they came to see me, they were, extremely upset that that kind of accusation would be made about something that is absolutely not tolerated. And quite honestly, the most preposterous thing I ever heard. Certainly looking into legal action. I don't understand the rules and the laws of the land that say that you can just accuse people of something that did not happen.
That story will continue to develop, and so will Tua's knee. Will he play against the Citadel? Coming up, I'll tell you why. They need to be calling the Vatican this week when we return on College Football Live.
ESPN, home of the New Year's Six and the College Football Playoff.
All right, for the second week in a row, Alabama quarterback and Heisman frontrunner Tua Tagovailoa had to leave the game due to a lower leg injury happening in the LSU game and last Saturday versus Mississippi State. Now let's take a look at planning for success, brought to you by Northwestern Mutual. Hey, Coach Nick Saban, are you going to sit Tua this weekend?
No. No, why would we do that? I mean, say this was not an important game or he doesn't need to play or... I think we need to do a better job of the people playing around him, doing what they're supposed to do so he doesn't get hit. And he needs to do a better job of stepping up in the pocket and getting rid of the ball, which he had several opportunities to do. So, some of these hits can be avoided just by better execution. And I think that's what we're going to focus on, not trying to take a guy out of the game so he can't improve or do what he needs to do to get better, or we need to do what we need to do to get better as a team and develop some confidence in each other.
Got to be honest with you, I always have confidence in Saban's sweater game. It's pretty strong, guys. All right, how about this? Let's play a little calm or concerned. David, I'll start with you. Calm or concerned Tua playing against the Citadel this weekend?
Calm. Listen, I think that I'm pretty positive he won't get touched regardless back there in the pocket. I'm pretty confident there'll be nice protection and he'll do a lot of throwing the football. But, I have concern for his knee because this is another shot, another opportunity, him limping off the field. And the more he does this, the more you wonder what the heck's going on, because then he'll seem like he's fine, and then all of a sudden he seems like he can't even walk. So I don't know what that is. But one thing that's very important, Todd, and you know this as a player, you don't just sit guys when they're healthy enough to play. You don't do that. You don't go, hey, Tua's healthy, we're going to sit you this week. What about everybody else that has to grind? What about everybody else that has to show up?
Yeah, but you're also right, Todd. Right? Isn't he saying? Yeah, go ahead.
I get that, but go back and look at the history. And I every year, studying draft prospects, I go, why did this guy not play? He played 12 of 13 or 14 of 15 games. He's a linebacker. He's a cornerback, whatever he is. So if Nick Saban, which he consistently says, and I believe he's honest about it, that the quarterback is the same as the linebacker, as the defensive lineman, as everybody else, if you're going to give those guys the day off, why aren't you going to give this guy the day off? That's my question.
He's not going to give anybody the day off.
That need's serious.
He's not going to give anybody the day off unless they are hurt. He's not. Nick Saban's not giving free passes. Well, I don't know. No, I think he's hurt, but I don't know if this is something where it gets hit and all of a sudden it hurts again, because sometimes he looks fine and sometimes he doesn't. So if he needs rest, by all means, this isn't a debate. This is only if he's healthy. If he's healthy again to throw.
Like he's trying to make a point by this.
Yeah. Oh, you know Nick, though. You have to earn your time in practice, and if you're going to play in the game, he wants everything to be a competition. So you got to go out there and you got to bust your butt in practice just like everybody else. That's kind of his MO, which is really good for him, and sometimes people never get healthy because of that.
Man, you just go up there, you call the Pope, you ask the Vatican if they can use the Pope Mobile for a week, and he'll be fine against Citadel. By the way, Mac Jones, I hope you're ready for a lot of playing time in that game. All right, calm or concern here. David, let's start with you. One loss Notre Dame, their playoff chances if somehow they lose.
Of course, there'd be concern. If you want to get in, you need to win. So they don't have an ACC championship game. They're technically a part of the ACC somehow, but they're going to be sitting at home when everybody else is playing on championship weekend, and they have those opportunities like the Buckeyes did years ago against Wisconsin to make a statement and really punch your ticket and give the committee something to look at. So I would have concern if I had a loss, obviously, just like most everybody else.
Of course, there's concern. The Michigan thing becomes a head-to-head, and we already talked about that. But then there's Oklahoma, and there's Washington State, and there's other teams out there. So, listen, they didn't do anything to deserve whether they have a conference championship game or not. But at the end of the day, they don't. So they've got to win out, is my guess.
A team that has to win out also is the one team you just talked about, Oklahoma. Calm or concern Oklahoma's defense, and really, frankly, the lack of defense played overall in the Big 12 right now, Todd?
Ton of concern. It's hard to watch sometimes. The last 2 weeks, I've had Oklahoma, Texas Tech, Oklahoma State, and you almost assume it's going to be, you start at 40, and it's going to be 40 to 50. And it's just, and there's some good individual players, but the lack of team defense, and yes, I understand the offenses, but they've got to improve in that area. The whole conference it's almost like they give in to the fact that, we don't play good defense because we have great offenses. Well, they can be better. There's no question about it. And I think you just have to start putting your best athletes on that side of the ball. That's going to be the difference at some point. Iowa State, I think, is kind of starting that trend right now.
Yeah, real quick, Pollock, let me ask you on a quick retee, Pollock. Does this push come to shove? Would the College Football Committee take away from Oklahoma if they happen to run the table, or maybe West Virginia because, quote, they don't play defense in the Big 12?
They're going to examine the whole package, of course. That's going to be part of it, and they should examine the whole package. But that being said, they better examine the offensive package too, because that's dynamite. That's true. Kyler Murray's going to get his. If Nick Saban has to go against Kyler Murray and company in the first round in Lincoln Riley, it would be amazing TV. It would be absolutely
That's the sad part. That's
amazing.
Because I can't stand the defense, but I would love to see Tua versus Kyler. It would be unbelievable.
To see it because you got to realize the offense is so daggum good. And listen, a year ago it was Baker Mayfield. We talked about it going into the championship games and the playoffs. He's going to get 30. He's going to get 40. Right. Kyler Murray's not any different. Kyler Murray might be more difficult to defend because he can just skedaddle so quickly and chew up 60. So you have to take into account the defense. The pass defense is atrocious. My eyes hurt when I watch the tape. But the offense, good Lord, can they function?
The over and under of that game would probably be around 198, and I believe I might end up taking the over in that one. All right, now it's time to discuss the Capital One fan vote. Todd, which one of these teams has the best chance of making the playoff? Ohio State, Oklahoma, Wazoo, or West Virginia? Which one are you going with?
I'm going to go with Oklahoma. After all that talk about the defense, I'm going to go with Oklahoma because of Kyler and because of Marquise Brown and CeeDee Lamb and that offensive line, which is probably the best in the country.
Offensive line.
Yeah, and by the way, I don't think Kyler Murray's chance at a Heisman is completely done. All right, coming up right now, we start looking at the best of the best moments of 25 years of SportsCenter. Yeah, Tom Rinaldi's not going to make us cry. I guarantee you. That's the one time that he ever does that, right? Because he normally does that. All right, we got a lot more coming up, including Tuesday night on ESPN. Exclusive reveal of the next college football playoff top 25 rankings. I got a feeling we know what 1 through 4 is going to be, but a lot of drama after that. It comes up at 7 p.m. Eastern. Then Saturday, 3:30 ABC, Oklahoma State looking to pull off the Oklahoma, which team has the best shot to make the playoff? Go to twitter.com/SportsCenter to check out this week's Capital One fan vote. All right, moving on. How about this? Drum up the parade. Let's roll because, yeah, it's your day to shine, UCF. That's right. It's 25-year anniversary today of the first college game day. And, yeah, we've been rolling to Orlando for that as UCF's going to be taking on Cincy. And, of course, 25 years, Tom Rinaldi takes us through some of the best moments ever. I promise you won't cry.
It is here, the day you've waited for if you're a college football fan.
A simple studio show that somehow became a traveling circus. And 25 years ago was the first stop.
About 2,000 Irish and Seminole fans, they have been yelling.
My, how things have changed. 357 times in 83 distant towns, representing 87 different teams. From Philly to Fargo, Tuscaloosa to Times Square.
New York!
Happy Valley to Death Valley. Campuses to aircraft carriers. What a long, strange trip it's been.
Tiny, y'all.
From back then
I watch my games on Classic now.
Moving speed!
to right now. The sea of signs. The celebrity pickers.
Today is going to be the kick ass.
And of course, Ole Miss and Katy Perry. But mostly, it's the moments that have made the memories. At Virginia Tech, a season after tragedy struck.
The feelings are powerful, and so are the symbols of remembrance, and so are the words that you hear from the students that you run into.
About 99% sure that the cancer is completely gone.
Mark Herzler announcing he was cancer-free at BC.
Will you marry me?
Will you marry me at Ohio State? A wave to those watching in Iowa. And of course, our enduring constant, our forever coach, the beautiful original Lee Corso, and his wisdom.
Dukes have nothing to fear today but fear itself.
Emotional after watching his own coaching moments from Navy. And dropping F-bombs in Houston. For a quarter century now, we've been coming to your city. And we're so grateful to you and for you for having us.
25 years of Ultimate Performance is there, and now it's time for this week's Ultimate Performance presented by BMW. Hard to disagree. It's Trevor Lawrence, guys. The true freshman has been a machine since taking over. After that Syracuse game, he's been nothing short of fantastic. 295 yards passing and a couple of touchdowns against BC up on Saturday, where David Pollock was way too cold. All right, how about this? This sign here, ACC assistant coach and Trevor Lawrence. He's the best prospect since Manning. He'd be the first pick of this year's draft if he came out, even if he didn't play another snap. Todd McShay, you believe in that? The hype of Trevor Lawrence being the best since Manning?
Listen, I'm always trying to respect the process of it, but looking at this year's quarterback class, he might be. He might be. I mean, listen, he's still learning how to read defenses and how to see the whole field, but from a tools standpoint, he's going to be a top 5 pick whenever he's ready to leave Clemson. Let's put it that way.
Well, we talk about arm strength. That ain't lacking. I mean, good Lord. He makes those 18-yard comebacks look like they're slants and they're bunnies. They're just layups. He's just got – I mean, he's got a cannon for an arm. He's a really good athlete, and you just think about where he is right now, too. He's a bigger, stronger version than most of these people come in. Deshaun Watson came in a wiry 190. You know, he's already – this kid's already big, and he's already thick, and I think he'll get –
So you would take him at number 1, Pollock? You would take him with
you would bet on his potential.
I wouldn't take him at number 1. I would take him as the first quarterback. I'm not saying he'd be the best player, but I would take him as the first quarterback in the draft, and I wouldn't bat an eye.
Hey, guys, good stuff today. We got a little college football playoff rankings coming up a little bit later. Bid you adieu.